Hello and welcome back to Week's Goal Line Report. We are just going to do a quick little thing here. So, AF1 just finished its season here in 2026 with its final two games of Week 15. So, the Oceanside Stealth took on the Michigan Arsenal for the second week in a row. This was another low-scoring game. The Arsenal pulled off a win, 41 to 27 against the Stealth, in a pretty decent game from what I saw. And in the second game, the Monsters, the Minnesota Monsters versus the Beaumont Renegades, the Monsters ended up picking a win 42 to 40 in a very close, low-scoring game. And that might be a little crazy to say low scoring, but this is arena football, and I'm used to seeing higher scores with that. But then, if we take a look at the standings after the season, so in eighth place, the Oceanside Stealth finished 1 and 11, I think. And then 4 and 8 Beaumont Renegades, 5 and 7 Washington Wolfpack, and they made the playoffs. 6 and 6 Michigan Arsenal, who made the playoffs. Kentucky Barrels 7 and 5, Minnesota Monsters 8 and 4, Albany Firebirds 9 and 3, and Nashville Cats 11 and 1. So everyone played 12 games, and the competition, it was pretty nice. And then if we look at the schedule for the first round of the playoffs, so they do this where, kind of like the old NFL, the top two teams get a bye. So Nashville and Albany get their bye. And then Kentucky, which is the higher seed over Michigan, they are not able to use their stadium. So they're going to actually be at the Michigan Stadium. So Michigan, even though they're the lower seed, they get the home game. So Kentucky versus Michigan. So Kentucky looked very good at the start of the season, and they got rid of a lot of their guys, and it was just really frustrating as a Kentucky fan. And haven't got a win since then, basically. So I'm gonna have to put them. They get a loss against Michigan because Michigan, they've been getting really good after they dropped a lot of losses early on. They looked really bad from what I saw. But then they just kept stacking up these wins, and they've looked like a top three team recently. Now, we'll have to see that because, the playoffs, it's a different beast than the regular season. But then in the second game, the Washington Wolfpack takes on the Minnesota Monsters. So Washington is 5 and 7, and they were the sixth seed, and Minnesota's the third seed at 8 and 4. And I haven't seen a lot of Washington, but I know they've been pretty mid. Like they barely made this. Like, it was basically in contention whether Beaumont was going to make it, and since they lost to Minnesota, Washington was in. But I'm going to give this one to Minnesota. So I'm going to say for the second week, we see Michigan, Nashville, Albany, and Minnesota. So the AF1's been looking really good recently, and I'm really excited to see these playoffs live. And I don't know who, I don't think we know who the MVP was yet, but I'm going to say personally, I would give my vote to Tyler Kolka for the QB of the Nashville Cats. Um, but yeah, that's gonna wrap it up here for today. Just wanted to get an AF1 recap out of here for Week 15. See you next time.